Hi everyone, this is lesson 4.8 and we're going to be learning about comparing linear models. So in previous lessons you should have learned how to create a linear model with an equation and then also using a table of values to draw some sort of a diagram on a graph. So we're going to be doing the same except we're going to be comparing two linear models. So by the end of this video, I'd love for you to be able to understand what a point of intersection is and what it means in terms of a question. So let's use example number 1 just to learn how to do those things. Example number 1. Two video production companies charge different amounts to videotape special events. So here I am and I'm trying to figure out which company to go with. I have a blue company, which is in scenario 1. It's called New Ideas Company. And I have an orange company, the Creative Videos Company. They both have different ways that they're going to charge me if I hire them. So I want to compare them with each other. Now the first thing I'm going to do is create an equation. So my equation is going to start with a C for the cost. I want to know what is my cost going to equal if I hire the New Ideas Company. So they have a rate, the $20 per hour. That's how I know that it's a rate. It has that line, the per. So they're going to charge me $20 for every hour that I hire them. So 20 times H. Which means if I hire them for 1 hour, they're going to charge me 20 bucks. 2 hours is 40 bucks, and 3 hours is 30 bucks, and so on. But in addition to that, I also have to pay a fee of $200 just to talk to them. So even if I don't end up hiring them, just to talk to them that one time, I have to pay $200. Okay, so that's the equation for the first company. The second company, the cost, is going to equal something a little bit different because they have an hourly rate as well. So their rate is $60 for every hour, so 60 times H. But notice that they don't have a consulting fee, so I could always go plus 0 because they're not going to charge me anything just to talk to them. But I mean, why would we write plus 0? It seems kind of, like you don't really have to write it. The 0 is nothing, right? So let's just write it as 60 times however many hours you hire them for. Now that you have both of the equations, you're going to create a table of values for each of the situations because each table of values is going to draw a line on the graph. Okay, so let's go with our blue company, the New Ideas, and I'll show you how to calculate each of the costs. If you hire this company for 0 hours, you're going to use the equation. So the cost is equal to $20 times 0. Okay, so 0 hours plus 200 bucks. Okay, so remember your bed mass, 20 times 0 first and then plus 200. So 20 times 0 is 0, plus 200 is going to be 200. Now that makes sense because if you're paying $20 for 0 hours that you hired them, well then you don't have to pay any money, except they're still going to charge you that $200. So that's why you have to pay $200. Now let's just change that up. Okay, so we'll change up this as well. If we try to do 1 hour, well then you're just going to change this to a 1. 20 times 1, $20 that you have to pay, plus the $200, that means that you're going to have to pay $220 now. So you know how to do the rest. I want you to fill out all of this. I'm going to move on to the second one, the orange company, so the Creative Videos Company. We're going to calculate for 0 hours using the formula. So the cost is going to equal $60 times 0 hours. Okay, so 60 times 0 is going to be 0. And that makes sense. If you're charged $60 per hour, but you didn't use them for any hours, then you don't have to pay anything. Now, if you're going to change that to 1 hour, Then you're just going to change the number inside the brackets. 60 times 1 is going to be $60. So 1 hour costs you $60, 2 hours should cost you $120, and so on. So I'd like you to fill out this part, and just pause the video, but I will show you all the answers. Okay, so here now that we have all of our numbers, we're going to make a blue line and an orange line on a graph. Now remember that your graph needs an independent variable and a dependent variable. So we have both of our variables here and here. Do you remember how to know which one is independent and the dependent? Well, the dependent is going to depend on the other one. So the cost is going to be the dependent because the cost depends on how many hours you hired this company for. So if I make a graph, cost, because it's dependent, is going to be on the y-axis, the vertical one. Okay, remember to put any units down, so that's a dollar sign. The independent variable is your time, your number of hours, which goes on the bottom on your x-axis. Okay, now we're going to need a scale, and I'm going to start off with the number of hours. It looks like our hours go up to 8. So I just need to make sure that I fit 8 in here. And let's start at 0. And I think if I go every 2 blocks, it's going to make it nice and even. And I like to put these ticks just to show where the numbers are. Okay, and we'll start right here. So here's 1, 2. Just make sure that you're going up by the same amount. So don't just go from 5 to like 10 or something like that. That's just weird. Okay, so this will be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and maybe on the next one, let's see, the cost, I have to make sure that I get up to 360, or actually this one goes all the way to 480. So I have to make sure that I get up to about 500. Sorry, I'm going to the wrong slide. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make those same ticks so that it's even all the way, and I have to make sure I go up to 500 somehow. So possibly I'm thinking maybe I'll go up by 50s. So $50, $100, $150, $200. So notice that I'm going up by the same amount each time. I'm not looking at the numbers on the previous slide at all. 450, 500. I'm sorry if that's a little bit messy. Okay, so every block is the same amount each time. Now I'm going to put in my dots. So starting with the blue, this is going to be 1 dot, 0 to 100. So let's put that into our graph. 0 on the bottom, going up to 200 and putting a dot right there. Now my second blue dot is going to be 1 and 220. Okay, so 1 hour, $220, maybe right somewhere there. Okay, and then it's going to keep going up like that. And you'll see that they all kind of go in a nice straight line. They should go in a very straight line. Okay, if they don't, that means you did something wrong. So you're going to join those with a ruler at the end, and now the same with the orange. Here's your first dot, 0, 0. So that's right here. And then your second dot, 1 and 60. 1 and 60 should be right here, and so on. You're going to have like another dot, and so on and so forth. So you're going to join all of those in an orange line, and it should look like this. Now notice that I have arrows on my lines, but I don't have an arrow on this side. And that's just because, well, you don't want your numbers to go into negative hours and negative costs. That doesn't make sense. So I only have arrows on one side of my equation to show you that they keep going upwards into positive money and positive hours. I also always make sure that I label the equations, or if you want to, the name of the company, right beside each of my lines. Okay, now that I've answered question A, which just says to graph, I can answer B and C. So B is asking me, now that you've drawn your graph, from the graph, which company offers the better rate? So which one would you prefer to hire if you're going to hire someone for only 3 hours? So let's take a look at 3 hours. All right, how much does each of the companies cost? Well, the orange, I go up to the orange, and then I go to the side. It looks like the orange costs less than $200. But if I go up to the blue line, it looks like it costs over $200, maybe even $275. I don't want to pay that much. That's a lot of money. So for 3 hours, I think I would rather choose the creative videos. They're the ones that would be cheaper because the orange line is lower than the blue line at 3 hours. So let's try that for 8 hours now. Okay, so we're going to go to 8 hours. Which company is better? Well, let's check out the first company, and it looks like the blue company is lower than the orange company. Okay, so the blue company costs maybe $375, whereas the orange company costs about almost $500. So I would probably choose the new ideas because they're cheaper. That line is lower. So you see, by drawing both of the lines together, we can make these comparisons and answer which question, answer the question like, who would you rather hire? Who would be cheaper? Okay, so let's get rid of all these lines, and we're going to answer the last question. The point of intersection. So the point of intersection is, where does the blue and orange line actually cross each other? Where do they intersect? Which means cross, and that's right here. Okay, so that's the point of intersection right there, and that's at 5 hours and $300. Okay, so I wrote that right here, 5 first and then the 300. So most importantly, do you actually understand what this means in terms of the companies? So the point of intersection, easy to find. Where do they cross? But what does it mean, 5 hours, $300? Well, that means that at both companies, if you hire them at 5 hours, they're going to charge the exact same. Not one company is better than the other company. They're exactly the same price at $300. Okay? So that's it for the lesson. What I'd like you to do for homework is I'd like you to try out the rest of the worksheet. So just this one example right here, it's about a yacht club. And so you can talk about the 2 different options. You have option number 1, one company, and then option number 2. So you're going to try and create the equations, and you can put one equation right here. Notice that I've started you off with C equals 2. And then the other equation right here, I've also started you off. Once you have them, you can actually answer, question A. That A should have been right up there. And you're going to create all of the numbers, how much it's going to cost if you use option A. And then you're going to figure out all the numbers with option B. Okay, and once you actually graph it, you're going to have a blue line and an orange line. Then you can answer the rest of these questions. Okay, so this is going to be your homework for this week, is just filling out this question and sending it in to us. All right, let us know if you have any questions through email. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.